going to paint a picture. You're probably fairly familiar with the tools that we have down the side here already. Our felt tip pens, various different widths, and the fill pot, the eraser, the ability to be able to put in backgrounds, undo, redo actions, to be able to zoom in and then zoom back out again. But this one, maybe you've not clicked on because you weren't certain what it actually does. If I click on it, it allows us to look at positioning, proportion, perspective. Let's just take a look and see what these things actually do. I click on the head. It allows us to look at where things are in relation to each other on a person's head. You can use these little green dots to alter. Person looking up and looking down, looking to the side. You see the ears coming around the side of the head. You can also use this green button to be able to rotate. And if you want to resize, then just drag with the corner. You can see that we can alter our shapes as we're going along. It gives a really nice guide for pupils to be able to just take a look and see where things should actually be. The eyes being at the top of the ears, the bottom of the nose relating to the bottom of the ears. They can then use the tools along the side here and they can start to trace. Let's get a more flesh tone. We have our ear. I'm just going to fill this whole lot in. Ooh, you can see very wobbly hand. Be able to get those bits in. I think I'll just use my fill bucket. And then I could start putting things like the eyes in where I want them to be. See, if you could zoom in, it would be an awful lot easier to be able to put finer detail on. Much easier for the pupils to be able to fill all those different bits and pieces. I'll zoom back out again. When you've finished, you just click on the button, click on the cross, and you have your original piece of artwork without any of the guidelines showing. I'll just get a new piece of paper. I might go into a simple one again, just so that you can see what happens with the next one. I've got the ability to be able to pose. It's quite handy. So for animations, you just get hold of the different joints and then you can use the little mannequin, put him in the position that you want him to be in. And again, just like before, you can shrink, you can grow, you can move all the different parts before you start filling in with your details. With this piece of paper, we'll look at perspective. This is a single point perspective. Got our vanishing point. You can see we can drag and drop using the little purple block to raise and lower the horizon as well, and alter the actual view that we're getting. So these lines now act as guides to be able to get that perfect perspective and the proportions correct when drawing. If I decided instead I wanted to have a 2-point perspective, so we've always got like 2 streets we're looking at here, I can just make this a bit taller, make it shorter. I go from here, we can still see our horizon in the background. I'm just going to take these as the guide. I'll draw myself some trees. But using those guides, we should now get that feeling of things moving away into the distance rather than that sort of flat 2-dimensional idea. Just put a bit of greenery on the top. I know it's a very basic picture, but hopefully it'll give you an indication of how this might work. Oops, don't get hold of the purple button. And again, You can tell I'm artistically trained. And if I just take away, we get that feeling of travelling into the distance from two aspects. You can use the facial features guide, the posable mannequin, and the perspective tools in some of the other media suggestions. If I just click open new, I'll go to, for example, swirly. Okay, if you can use it, it'll be there. I'll click on my little mannequin. Just so that you know, you can click on that blue button in the middle. You can actually reposition your character, and then you can start filling bits in where he actually is. And then what I'll do is just move that one, change size, change proportion, change the pose perhaps. Oops. There you go, you can scratch his head. Sometimes better to do that when it's a bit larger. There we go. I'll just undo the painting bits. And now we can see what we've got. Here's our little bloke. Move him where we want him to go. Move his knee. Move his body. And then we can just start colouring. There's nothing to stop you also, if you wanted to, going along and mixing things together. So you may already have some characters. You may put your landscape in and then put characters on top of it. All very easy, just repositioning, making things how you'd like them to be as guidelines before you start composing your picture. Something to experiment with, have a bit of fun, but also it gives you the idea of posing, proportion and perspective in your artwork.